Nothing dramatic is wrong with your life. You're comfortable, safe, predictable, and that might be exactly the problem. Comfort feels like safety, but it's quietly the biggest ceiling on your growth. The version of you that you actually want to become, stronger, sharper, more capable, more confident, doesn't live inside your current routine. It lives just outside it, in the exact territory your comfort zone is designed to keep you away from. Today, we're going to look at why comfort quietly stalls growth, what actually happens in your body and mind the moment you step outside it, and how to use controlled discomfort on purpose instead of either avoiding it completely or overwhelming yourself and quitting. Let's start with why comfort is so seductive in the first place. Your comfort zone isn't just a mental habit, it's a physiological state. Inside it, your stress hormones stay low, your nervous system stays calm, and your brain conserves energy by relying entirely on familiar, automatic patterns. From your body's perspective, this feels like success. No threat, no danger, no wasted effort. But here's the catch. Growth, physical, mental, professional, emotional, has never happened inside that state. Muscles don't grow without resistance. Skills don't sharpen without difficulty. Confidence doesn't build without doing something that used to scare you and surviving it. Every version of better that you want requires stepping, at least briefly, into discomfort. The problem is, most people relate to discomfort in one of two broken ways. Either they avoid it entirely, staying so far inside their comfort zone that months and years pass with almost no real change. Same routines, same conversations avoided, same goals quietly postponed. Or they swing to the opposite extreme, throwing themselves into overwhelming, unsustainable challenges, burning out fast, and retreating even further into comfort afterward. Now with the added belief that I tried, and it didn't work. Neither approach works because both misunderstand what discomfort is actually for. It's not something to avoid, and it's not something to maximize. It's a tool, and like any tool, it works best in a specific deliberate dose. That dose has a name: controlled discomfort. Enough challenge to force adaptation, without enough to trigger shutdown or retreat. Let's break down exactly how to find and use that zone on purpose. Most people wildly misjudge where their actual comfort zone edge is. They either imagine it's much further out than it really is, I could never do that, or they avoid testing it at all, so it stays a vague, intimidating unknown. The fix is simple. Test small, deliberately uncomfortable actions, and observe what actually happens, rather than what your mind predicts will happen. Say the thing you'd normally hold back. Ask the question you'd normally avoid. Do the slightly too heavy set at the gym. Send the message before you've reread it 10 times. In almost every case, the real discomfort is smaller and shorter-lived than the anticipated discomfort. Your mind consistently overestimates how bad stepping outside comfort will feel and consistently underestimates how quickly you adapt once you're actually in it. Testing your real edge repeatedly recalibrates that internal prediction system so it stops lying to you about how hard something will be. Once you know roughly where your edge is, the next skill is choosing challenges that sit just past it, not far past it. Growth happens in what's sometimes called the stretch zone. Challenging enough to demand real effort and adaptation, but not so overwhelming that your nervous system floods with stress and shuts the whole attempt down. Push too little, and nothing changes. Push too far, all at once, and you trigger a full-blown stress response that makes retreat, and often quitting altogether, almost inevitable. A useful gauge. If a task feels like a 9 or 10 out of 10 in difficulty, it's very likely to end in avoidance or burnout. If it feels like a 6 or 7, noticeably hard, slightly uncomfortable, but not panic-inducing, you're in the zone where real adaptation happens. Look for tasks that make you a little nervous, not tasks that make you want to quit before you start. Here's the part that makes this sustainable rather than exhausting. You're not trying to live in permanent discomfort. You're trying to repeatedly expand the size of your comfort zone, one edge at a time. The first time you do something, give a hard piece of feedback, lift a heavier weight, have the difficult conversation. It sits solidly in the stretch zone. Uncomfortable, but manageable. Repeat it consistently. And within weeks, that same action starts feeling almost routine. What used to require real courage now barely registers as a challenge. Your comfort zone didn't disappear. It physically expanded to include what used to be its edge. This is why consistency matters more than intensity here. One overwhelming leap outside your comfort zone rarely sticks. Your system reads it as a threat and retreats afterward. Repeated, moderate steps just past the edge, taken consistently, is what actually and permanently grows the size of your comfort zone over time. Let's bring this together. Comfort was never the enemy, and it was never the goal either. It's simply a state your body defaults to when nothing is demanding change. Safe, low effort, familiar. The problem isn't that comfort exists. The problem is staying inside it so consistently that the version of you capable of more never gets the chance to develop. Real growth was never about eliminating discomfort, and it was never about maximizing it either. It's about finding the specific, deliberate dose, controlled discomfort that's challenging enough to force real adaptation without being so overwhelming that it triggers shutdown and retreat. That means testing your real edge instead of relying on your mind's inflated predictions. Choosing challenges that sit just past that edge instead of far beyond it, and repeating those moderate steps consistently until what once felt hard becomes your new, expanded comfort zone. None of this requires a dramatic reinvention of your life. It requires noticing, this week, one place where you've been avoiding a small, uncomfortable action, and choosing to do it anyway, not perfectly, not fearlessly, just once. Then again next week. Your comfort zone will keep expanding exactly as far as you're willing to consistently press against its edge and not 1 inch further. So here's the question. What's one thing slightly outside your comfort zone that you've been avoiding? And are you willing to do it this week? Tell me in the comments. Let's grow together. This is time for growth. And I'll see you in the next one. That your comfort zone isn't the enemy. It's just where your body defaults when nothing demands change. But real growth only happens through controlled discomfort, enough challenge to force adaptation, without enough to trigger shutdown. Most people either avoid discomfort entirely or overwhelm themselves and quit. The fix is simpler. Test your real edge instead of your imagined one. Choose challenges that sit just past it, not far beyond it, and repeat those steps consistently. Do this, and today's edge quietly becomes tomorrow's comfort zone. Growth was never about eliminating discomfort. It was always about using it on purpose.